Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go live. About to break down this whole union thing. Progressive Action, the new Local 100. Make sure you share it. Let's get people to the stream. We're about to get it going any second now, any second. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you share this. Make sure you invite people to this live digital Shopgate. We're going to break down this whole platform, the Progressive Action platform on which we are running on. All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters? Thanks for tuning in to the new digital Shopgate. Progressive Action is the first people to do it. This is just a new way for us to give you information because we realize that we could go to terminals, we could go to depots, we could go to stations, we could go to garages, we could go to yards, barns. We cannot possibly reach everyone. So the best way to reach everyone is to do digital Shopgates. Now, I gave you guys a preview before of the digital Shopgate where, you know, we go present information, show you guys the facts, show contracts, bylaws, and just more interactive than the regular Shopgate of going to anywhere and speaking to the people. This is a new way to connect with the people. Now, for those who don't know, Progressive Action was started by me and my cousin Jamel Wilson back in 2015. We decided to start it because of the lack of unity, unionism, the reps that wasn't doing their job. So I wanted to create something to give to the membership where we could all get together, connect, talk about the various things that go on in different departments, the various work rules, and just so we can have a better outlook on each other's jobs. It creates unity and build morale that way. So 2015, we started it. 2016, we started a radio show, a website. The Facebook grew tremendously. We have the biggest Facebook group in New York City Transit, bigger than the unions too. And we just decided to put things together for the membership, spending our own money, rallies. We did a cleaners rally, a do nothing rally, 2 assault rallies. We're active in the community, doing things with senior citizens, toy drives, feeding people. And now we're here. Now you have me, Tremel Thompson, honored to be a candidate for TWU Local 100. Now, we're going to get directly into this because there's a lot of things going on that needs to be addressed. So the first thing that we want to get into is wages. As you can see, you see the people working, and it's for pennies on dimes. And that's the same way that I feel about New York City transit workers. I don't feel that we get compensated for the work that we do properly. Currently, we cannot afford to live in the city in which we work. That doesn't make sense. We spend more time working in the city, probably at home, and we can't even afford the rents in in the city in which we live. I used to call it transit refugees. Transit workers leave New York, go to the outer states, Jersey, Connecticut, some as far as Delaware, the Poconos, just to live, and it takes away from your quality of life. Why can't transit workers afford to live in the city in which we work? And that is due to poor contracts. Bottom line is that the past administration or the current administration has failed to get transit workers the raise that they deserve. They have failed us tremendously. And one way that we get confused is that we look at overtime. Overtime is not a part of our base salary. Overtime could be taken away at any given moment. Just recently, in October, the MTA put out a memo saying that they want to stop all unscheduled overtime. That has definitely put a dent in some people's pockets, and it makes it harder to survive. We need a bigger base salary. We have failed to get a bigger base salary due to this current administration, which hurt us majorly because for the first time ever, transit workers went 2 years without getting a contract. That hurt us tremendously, you know, and the union try to use terminologies that they probably think that the membership isn't familiar with. So they'll look at something called inflation and cost of living. Now, I'm going to put together, first let me put this up on the screen. The union actually put this up. And it says, if you look at the rectangle, black rectangle square, it says, workers well ahead of inflation. That was a lie. And one of the problems in Local 100 is the lack of transparency and dishonesty. That's one of the major things in Local 100. So I'm going to put this next literature on the screen. As you can see, well, probably got to zoom in a little bit, but the red rectangle, it says 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. That is what the MTA forecasted the inflation to be. So our raise last contract was allegedly 2.5. And let me get into that. When these contracts are done, they normally done on a 12-month increment of a year, which you're getting a year. Now, the union said we got 2.5% for 28 months. If you divide 28 months evenly, it's 14 months a year. 14 months, I mean, not even 14 months a year. It's 14 months. 14 months is not a year. So did we really get 2.5 or did we get a lower number? A lot of people were saying 2.1. It definitely wasn't 2.5 because it wasn't based on a year. It was based on a few months more than a year. So let's just say I think it was actually based 15 months and 13 months in that order. And it was supposed to be 2.5% for each one. It can't be. You can't have 2.5% for 15 months and then 2.5% for 13 months. And you can't have, it just doesn't make sense. It don't make sense. So we didn't really get 2.5%. And even if we did, let's just say that the union was being honest and they said, you did get 2.5% a year. Well, that negates this then. That negates, going back to this again, workers well ahead of inflation. How can you be well ahead of inflation if it's 2.5? Wouldn't that be like breaking even? But the truth is, we didn't break even. Actually, we fell behind. It was not 2.5%. It was more like 2.1, 2% or 1.9, somewhere around there. Let me show you guys, put this on the screen. This is another document that basically says the same thing, but this one is actually 3.5. And let me put this one on the screen too. Now this is the most interesting document right here. Let me see if it's not really showing too well. It's not really showing too well, but we'll get the message. Well, on that document, let me clear that up real quick. On that document, and I have all these documents posted up under this thread when it's done, but on that document, it says 5.3%. This is what the MTA is forecasting for 2019 and 2021. 5.3% and 4.7%. Now, they using these numbers for the fare increase that they plan on doing on the riding public. So they saying that inflation is going to go up to 5.3% and 4.7%, but the fare increase is only going to go up to 4%. So they trying to justify the fare increase to say, hey, look, inflation is going up this amount, but the fare increase is less than inflation, so you guys should be able to do it. Now, me as running for union president, my argument would be, all right, so if inflation is going up to 5.3% and 4.7%, our raises should be at least 5.7% a year, at the least. There's no way that you go give us a raise below inflation and below the cost of living. And the union like to throw those words around, inflation and cost of living. Let me explain something to you guys. Inflation and cost of living only makes sense if you're making that premium dollar amount in that city or environment or wherever you may be. So the premium dollar amount right now is around $45 to $47 an hour. Transit workers are not making that money. So if a person or a company is making $45 to $47 an hour and they getting the cost of living raises according to that, then they are above cost of living and inflation and actually keeping up and surpassing it. But let's look at the workers in the fast food industry. If someone works at McDonald's and they making $15 an hour, let's just say $20 an hour, and they get a 10% raise. Now that 10% raise, of course, is above the cost of living and inflation and percentage wise, but are they actually in a dollar amount above the cost of living and inflation? And the answer to that is no. So getting a raise above inflation only makes sense if your dollar amount is at the premium where it needs to be in that city in order to survive. And transit workers are not at that dollar amount. And another thing that the MTA and the union, well, both of them like to do is, well, I'm going to say the union. The union like to say, you know, you can't compare us to police. You can't compare us to FDNY. You can't compare us to corrections or DC 37. In fact, in the 2000, I wish I could really pull this up on the screen. It don't look too good, but I have this document posted the right way. Actually, on this document, in our 2009 arbitration award, where our contract actually went to arbitration, the members, let me see something. The members, the matter of fact, the arbitration panel actually compared us to those agencies: COBA, PBA, Fire Department, and DC 37. With their pattern bargaining raises. So if you can compare us to their raises, then why are we not keeping up with their salaries? Right now, out of all four of those agencies, New York City Transit get paid the least. This is a fact. This is not fiction. You could look it up. It's on a 2009 arbitration award with the union. This is not a lie. We should be making the same dollar amount as those guys. Nothing less than them. And their salaries surpass us a lot. Now, another thing that we need to look into when it comes to wages is night differential. Night differential. Well, every other city agency get paid 10% of their hourly salary. Last contract, Local 100 got us a 5% increase on the night differential salary itself. So in my title, I'm a conductor. In my title, it only went up 7 cents. How can that be in 2018? How can the union come back with such a deal like that to the members? They came and said, hey, look, it hasn't moved in since the 80s. We got an increase of 7 cents. That's a smack in every New York City transit worker face. Without a doubt, a big smack in our faces. Now, another thing that we lost and what my administration planned to approve on is healthcare. So this is the problem with the healthcare. When Roger was in office, Roger got it raised to 1.5%. At that time, we had two companies that we was dealing with the healthcare. It was Blue Cross Blue Shield and United Healthcare. When the current administration got into office, the healthcare contributions went up to 2%, and we lost a provider. Matter of fact, we lost both of those providers, and we got hit with a new one, which is called Aetna. Aetna has millions of issues. Me personally, when I take my son to the doctor, I'm always getting some type of bill. I always got to constantly keep up with it because this stuff go on your credit report and could destroy your credit. I never had these problems with the prior to medicals that we had. But how can we have healthcare pay more into the healthcare and actually lose coverage? That's not how it's supposed to work. That's not how it's supposed to work at all. We're not supposed to lose coverage at all when it comes to healthcare. That's not what the agreement says from the 2002 contract. Management's supposed to maintain the same level of benefits. I can't see how you maintain the same level of benefits when we lost the provider, and it's hard to even go to some doctors because a lot of doctors don't take the coverage. Now, the remedy that the union came up with, well, if you find someone who doesn't take the coverage, how about you get them signed up to put them in the network? We are not agents. We don't get paid to sign doctors up into the network. That's the union and the MTA responsibility. And the union should be making sure that the MTA at least abide by the contract, providing us with the same level of benefits. There's no way we can have that paying 2%, lost the provider, got a new provider, and it seems like it's harder to get health care, get covered by doctors. And think about it like this. A lot of females been going to the same doctor, gynecologist, for years. They are comfortable with their doctors. Imagine coming in one day, your insurance change, and your doctor tell you that you can no longer come to him because he don't take your insurance. That's insane. But the union, this current administration allowed it to happen. How they allowed it to happen, I have no idea, but they allowed it to happen. Another thing my administration planned on curbing, as you can see, is this thing with discipline. You see, it seems like the employer is coming down on the employee. Now, this is the thing with discipline. The MTA have a culture of something called plantation justice. Their culture is punitive instead of corrective. It's made to hurt you. Without a doubt, it's made to hurt you. We felt too much pain up under this current union administration. They seem to not know how to fight. They seem to not want to fight. They seem to want to take every deal that the MTA throw at you. They want you go into labor relations, the MTA coming with 10 days. The union is saying the best that they could do is 7. I would not want a lawyer like that. I wouldn't want anyone like that to represent me. In fact, I wouldn't even want them around me. There has to be a way, administration to put together to actually fight against the atrocious amount of discipline down here. Now, I like to make comparisons as to how one group of people is being treated versus another group of people is being treated. So under this MTA umbrella, you actually have Long Island Railroad and Metro North. Me and my train operator division chair, Ben Valdez, we actually did a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Law, basically to get discipline in the other agencies in the MTA. So we decided to get Long Island Railroad. Now, Long Island Railroad was committing the same infractions that New York City transit workers was making. So you will have Long Island Railroad conductor open up the train doors outside the station. Their discipline, reprimand. You have conductors in New York City Transit making the same infraction, 30 days in the final. I don't really understand how you could work for the same company and have two totally different type of discipline practices when both of them involve safety. The only thing that I looked at was the demographic of both of the companies. That's the only difference that I really seen. You have 62% Caucasian working in Long Island Railroad. You have 77% minorities working in New York City Transit. There's a history of how one set of group of people is treated versus another set of group in America. And I feel that that same ideology is being practiced here within New York City Transit. We are getting treated way worse, more harsher, more punitive. And not to mention, when a New York City employee commits an infraction and they decide to take a suspension, they have to pay 30% of their salaries into a fine. What I learned in Long Island Railroad is that they have to pay 25%. They have to pay a lesser percentage and they make more money. It just doesn't seem fair. Now, a lot of people would say, well, the only people you could blame it on is your union representation. But if you speak to the union and you look at all of their propaganda, it says fight, they the strongest, they this, they that. So if it's not the union and the union is strong, and it's not about any other type of factor or negotiations or anything like that, then what is it? What's the main difference why New York City Transit workers get treated differently from Long Island Railroad? And no one to this date that I know of, especially this last administration, going to do a lot of focusing on this last administration because that's the administration that I was governed under since becoming an employee. Definitely this last administration never brought that up. They don't believe that race could possibly be a factor. They don't believe in none of that. In fact, I don't think they believe in anything that's outside of them. I don't believe they got the intelligence. I don't believe they know the history of America, or they just plain to choose ignore it. But these is questions that need to be asked of the MTA. What's the main reason for the discipline difference between New York City Transit and Long Island Railroad? Now, another topic that my administration will be addressing is pensions. As you guys know, I was hired in 2013. I fall under Tier 6. Tier 6 is probably one of the worst pensions ever in New York State. I take that back. Maybe the pension of MTA bus is worse, right? But I find that to be an issue. How can we all work up under the MTA umbrella and have different pensions? That's three different sets of ideologies, three different sets of wants. You have Transit Authority, have NICES. You have MAP Store, which is a private pension, and you have MTA Bus, which is the worst pension out of all the pensions. Actually, MAP Store and NICE is equivalent to one another. The MTA Bus pension isn't. I don't understand, what is the big deal? What is the big fight pushing legislation to get all of us up under NICES? That should be the fight. There shouldn't be no more second-class citizenship under a union that's claiming unity. You can't claim unity when you feeding these set of members over there steak and you feeding these set of members over there scraps, McDonald's chicken McNuggets. You can't have these people eating the Angus steaks and these people eating the McDonald's chicken McNuggets, and you basically coming back and say, hey, at least you guys is eating. That's not the fact. The fact of the matter is that we all should be treated as one. We all should be treated equal, especially when it comes to wages, health benefits, and pensions, and work rules also. We should take the collective of the best of all the work rules from every department and apply them to each and every department. There shouldn't be a disparity of this group over here having could bank 14 AVAs and this group over here could have 20. There shouldn't be no reason for that under any circumstance. There should be unity, equivalency, and a marriage of everything. We shouldn't be fighting for separate things. Isn't one of the union, what do they say, stand as one? Isn't that their motto, stand as one? How can we stand as one when you having people standing separately in different departments? But this pension thing needs to be fixed. Now, something that me and some of my running mates, we have filed EEOC complaint for something called physically taxing. Now, physically taxing, I'm going to pull this on the screen even though you guys can't really see it. Maybe you could, I don't know, maybe it's my screen. But these are basically physically taxing positions. And physically taxing is you able to retire at 2050 versus 2555. And you retire with full pension benefits. The only downside of it is you have to be Tier 4. But if we could get the members of Tier 4 into that physically taxing status, it will be great. For the simple fact, it's a start somewhere. If we could get Tier 4, then we could possibly get Tier 6, because then you can't say these group of people could get it and these group of people can't get it because of a pension narrative difference. You can't say that. But this is very important. Now, some of the titles that the city, and this is all under NICES, some of the titles that the city consider physically taxing is caretaker in the housing authority. Now, that's the same thing as a cleaner here, if you ask me. You have carpenters. We have carpenters also. You have diesel tractor operators. You have people who drive buses, that's diesel. You have train operators who operate trains, that's diesel. We should have physically taxing status without a doubt. We should be able to retire at 2050. In fact, once again, since arbitrators like to compare us to other city agencies, and that those city agencies, remember that they compared this to is NYPD, DC 37, COBA, and I believe the fire department. It was the fire department, yes. So 3 out of 4 of them have 22 and out right now, currently 22 and out any age. New York City transit workers work hard enough on a daily basis. We deal with a lot of stress. We work in a lot of crazy environments. We also should have 22 and out. That is owed to us. We need people who's going to fight for that. We need people who's going to stand up in Albany for that. And that leads me to the next topic, which is Albany. Albany is the place where laws are made, where laws are passed, where laws are vetoed. Albany is a very interesting place. Now, what my administration plans to bring is a tougher stance in Albany, in which we need. The current administration parades around town. They be friends with these lawmakers, and these lawmakers don't do anything for us. You can't point to 5 things that these lawmakers have done for transit workers. Now, if you look at the pictures, you have pictures all over the place of the union posing with these politicians. They giving away our coat money, and as far as I'm concerned, giving away our coat money should be in exchange of them fighting for something for us. They have yet to fight for anything significant for transit workers. Pension reform. In fact, the Tier 6 amendment to the overtime cap is currently sitting on the governor's desk. It has sat on the governor's desk for about 2-3 months now. He has yet to sign it. If Governor Cuomo, which this union administration love, the union president loves Governor Cuomo. Governor Cuomo is the most anti-labor governor around, and he poses as a pro-labor. You cannot be pro-labor when you gave workers in your state Tier 6. You cannot be pro-labor. You cannot be pro-labor when the first thing you want to do when you come in office is lay off thousands of union workers. You cannot be pro-labor doing those things. You cannot be pro-labor giving the workers of New York City Transit, MTA, a allegedly 2.5% raise increase and push us further back, set us further back and not being able to survive in the city in which we live. That's not pro-labor. That's anti-labor. And and our union administration support this guy. You could go on their Twitter. You could go everywhere. They take pictures with this governor. They smile. They laugh. They giggle with him. Everything is all good. Now, one thing that the union will point to, and say, hey, he helped us out with Janice. Let's be real about Janice. Janice will only survive in unions where the union's leadership has been abusing the membership. That's the only way Janice will survive. New York NYPD not thinking about Janice. FDNY not thinking about Janice. Sanitation not thinking about Janice. DC 37 not thinking about Janice. But Local 100 is thinking about Janice. Why? Because they know they have done us wrong. They know that for a fact. Now, back to the governor, what the union administration would say is this. Look, the governor signed a bill for us to help us out with Janice. He cares about the workforce. Well, let's be honest about that bill. That bill does not affect Local 100. Matter of fact, it affects Local 100 this much. Now, one of the things that the governor signed was that the union can now collect dues faster within 30 days of an employee getting hired. Okay, and that doesn't help and make us stronger. Another thing that the governor signed was, what was that? If you opt out, you will not get lawyer representation. Now, this union only offers lawyer representation in arbitration. What the union isn't telling anyone is that they have thousands of people take plea deals in step 1 and step 2 before even going to arbitration, because the MTA, like I said, they more punitive than corrective. They looking to fire you whenever you make a mistake. So sometimes they will force you to go to arbitration. Most of the times they'll have you towing the line of arbitration of 30 in the final. Now, a lot of people don't want to take that chance of going to arbitration, so they'll take that 30 in the final or turn it to 15 days and they'll hop on that. But the governor signing that Janice bill does not help us. It does not benefit us. And when you see your leadership into the field, you need to tell them that. The governor signing this Janice bill does not help Local 100. It helps DC 37 because DC 37, they have lawyers to help members with divorce claims, house for buying new houses, debt settlements, custody battles, everything, marriages, look, DC 37 members, if they opt out, they will feel a piper, but not Local 100. Local 100 do not. Janice, that bill that the governor signed, it does not help Local 100 members. And you need to ask your union reps about that. Now, back to Albany. One thing that my administration plans to do in Albany is fight for tougher laws on people who assault transit workers. Saying that if you assault a transit worker, you may be looking at 7 years in jail. The only way you're getting 7 years in jail is if your rap sheet is from Brooklyn to California. That's the only way you're getting 7 years in jail. We need to come up and push for a law. Get with some politicians who really support the working class, because these politicians who Local 100, the current Local 100 administration fraternize with, they do not care about the workforce. We need to find some politicians who care about the workforce, push for tougher legislation in Albany regarding the assaults. We want to fight for a minimum mandatory of at least 3 years in jail when you assault a transit worker. It shouldn't be nothing less than that. We do not come to work to get beat up. We do not come to work to get spit on. We do not come to work to get smacked, punched, or any of that. If you assault a transit worker in New York City Transit, you should get the mandatory minimum of 3 years. And that's one thing that my administration will be pushing for. Now, if that was to happen, or if that wasn't to happen, and we continue to get assaulted, me as Local 100 president will be doing job actions to shut down lines because it's a safety issue. If you can't protect us, then we can't work. No New York City transit worker, anyone who puts on that patch, should not have to work in fear and worry about being assaulted. We understand that things do happen. Yes, things do happen. But there needs to be a stiffer penalty when those things do happen. And we don't currently have that. The union cannot, this current administration cannot push for that for some reason. And they're not even trying. Whenever they take a picture with this, the Brooklyn DA, Eric Gonzalez, it's all for propaganda purposes to give the illusion that they are working with the DA for stiffer penalties. But the DA can't enforce anything that's not in the law already. If we want change, it starts out at Albany. We must go to Albany with a firmer stance, showing them that we mean business, and progressive action will be able to do that to show the lawmakers in Albany and our membership that we mean serious business. There's no other way around it. Now, another thing that my administration plan on looking into is, let's talk about this. This is a big issue for me. This is a big issue for me. You see the pregnant bellies on the screen. Huge, huge, huge problem for me. There's absolutely no restricted duty work for pregnant women in New York City Transit. You have bus operators driving buses, belly on the steering wheel. You have train operators, conductors being bounced around the cab, 8-9 months pregnant. The transit authority and the union think the answer to that is putting a pregnant woman on the platform. Why would you want to put a pregnant woman on the platform? Platforms get crowded. People get kind of crazy on those platforms. Anything can happen with an exposed belly around a group, a large amount of people. And we have become targets. The uniform has actually made us targets. Why would you want to put a pregnant female and her unborn infant into harm's way? One thing my administration will be fighting for is real restricted duty programs. No, as soon as a female, if she wants to, it should be an option. Now, some women want to work their jobs, but a woman should have an option of not being on the road. It should be office work for women who are about to give birth. There should be shred papers. This company is big enough. It's about 200 titles here, I guess, somewhere around there. There's something that the MTA can have pregnant females do besides operate, especially operational titles and cleaning and things like that. There has to be something that that could be done. A matter of fact, there's something that can be done, and progressive action is already going to make that. We're already making that happen now, but we have to take it a step further once we get in to really apply the pressure on the MTA. The MTA have females expressing milk in locker rooms and bathroom stalls. It's against the law. The current administration can't even get the MTA to abide by the basic laws. Breastfeeding. I mean, not breastfeeding, milk expression. You know, I don't understand. Is the union administration that weak, or they do not care about pregnant females on the job? This is something that we must take seriously. When a member sent me a video of where she had to express her milk out in the bathroom, I was appalled, you know, and the union did not help her. The first thing that came to my head: would anyone drink milk that says this milk was expressed in a bathroom stall? I don't think that none of us would drink milk if it said that on a carton. Why is the MTA, why is the union even allowing pregnant females, women who had kids to express milk? Why are they even allowing that? It seems inhumane. But the union administration allows this to happen. And it's sad. Now, another thing that my union administration will be pushing for, another thing with the women's issues, is the maternity leave. Now, we understand that a man don't need 4 to 6 weeks. We should get that amount of bonding time given by the company and the state to go bond with our newborn child. But a woman for sure shouldn't have nothing less than 8 weeks of maternity leave to recover. A C-section alone takes 6 to 8 weeks to recover. Natural childbirth takes at least 4 weeks to recover. You can't expect a female who just gave birth to come back to work 10 days later. We not animals. We don't live in a safari. We are human beings. And this union administration has failed to make sure the MTA treat us as such. Make sure Governor Cuomo treat us as such. It's going to take a strong fighting workforce, a strong fighting union administration to push back on these simple things that we already want already, that the MTA is not acknowledging. Like I said, we will be fighting for 8 weeks maternity leave, 4 weeks paternity leave, or 8 weeks and 8, whatever we come up with during that time. But definitely nothing less than 8 weeks maternity leave for women who just gave birth, especially if your birth involves a C-section. You definitely need 8 weeks to recover. Nobody comes back 10 days later. They want you to use your AVA. They want you to burn out all your time, your sick days. It shouldn't be like that. We are human beings. 8 weeks of recovery time after giving birth. Nothing more. Well, we could use more, but nothing less than 8 weeks. That's what I would say. Now, let's go to this. Let's talk about this. You see this family right here? Nice, happy family. Nice, happy family. This represents a good quality of life for me. You know, quality of life to me is spending more time at home with your family. Able to get days off, the specific days off that you need. Just this past Wednesday, I couldn't go to my son's Halloween party, his parade, his first Halloween parade with his school. My son 2 years old, for those of you who don't know. I couldn't go to his Halloween parade because I couldn't get the day off. And you already know when you book off, sometimes they could pop up at your house. And they've been doing this recently where they was able to pop up at your house even if you're not on sick control. So this picture, like I said, represents good quality of life. Now, few things that my union administration will be pushing for is we need to fight for 6 weeks vacation after 5 years like the other city agencies got. Not 6 weeks vacation after 15 years and you almost dead. 15 years is too long to wait for 6 weeks vacation. 6 weeks vacation should be attained, or 5 weeks should be obtained after 3 years of service, just like all the other city agencies. Longevity pay. Longevity pay is atrocious. Atrocious for the members of Local 100. You get longevity pay after 15 years of service. After 15 years of service, you get longevity pay. All of the other city agencies get longevity pay after 5 years. And the longevity pay amounts for Local 100 members is, I think the most you get is $500. In corrections alone, after your 5th year, you get around $4,000. Where is the thanks for the longevity of being in the company and serving the members of New York City? This is something that we need to fight for. We need more longevity pay, and we need to get it after 5 years of service. I think that is fair. Another thing that put these happy faces on these people, on our faces, our family faces, is able to spend more time with our family. How did the union last contract give back our OTO? How did they manage to do that? Why did they give away our OTO or limit it? A lot of us banked on that OTO time. If we work for the time, we should be able to get it and use it as we please. Whether we want to get paid for it on the next check, whether we want to take 20 days. If I gave 20 days of overtime to this company, or I did enough overtime to bank my OTO, then I should be able to use my OTO as I please. How can you limit my time that I put in? You guys didn't give us anything. Why would the union even agree to this? Which is insane. And another thing that needs to be fixed here is the 20 and 30 day call out to try to get a day off. That needs to be reduced to at least 5 days. That is not the member's problem. How can I forecast 20 days from now if my child needs to go here, or I need to go do this, or I need to go do that? Now, interestingly enough, the MTA, no, I take that back. Cuomo put some law out there last year or earlier this year saying that companies can no longer do that. Now, we are currently in the process of challenging this and speaking with lawyers regarding this, but no way possible we should be able to call out 20, 30 days in advance just to get a day off. That's absurd. It's insane. It's just not right. Now, I want to get into a few departmental issues. As you can see track workers here. They carrying heavy materials, heavy equipment. Now, my thing with track workers is this. Track workers have the hardest, in my opinion, the hardest job in New York City Transit. When I'm in my train cab, I'm watching you guys and I'm like, oh my God, how can these guys do this night in and night out? But for positions such as track workers, along with other positions where you're working around chemicals such as cleaners, breathing in diesel fumes, working in work areas as far as when contractors is doing work in non-open air spaces, there should be something called hazard pay for people who work along the right of way, work on structures, chemicals, things of that nature. That's something that we need to fight for departmentally regarding, the hazard pay. You have, hold on one second. You have, let me bring this up. You have the buses. There's no way possible that members the bus operators should be getting an extra $1 for driving an extra bus. It doesn't make sense. They save the MTA around $33, $34 an hour by driving this extra bus, and you only get this extra $1 for your vehicle time. So theoretically, it really makes no sense. If you drive for 6 hours a day, an Arctic bus, you're getting $6, right? So you look at that $6 and you times it by, what is it? You times it by 10. You get it's $60. You're getting $60 for driving an extra bus. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense at all. We need to fix this whole Arctic pay thing, especially you driving a labyrinth of obstacle course of things. You driving around bike lanes. You driving around double parked cars, delivery trucks, people playing in the street. It's not worth it. We need to fight for more Arctic pay for the bus operators. And if you touch an Arctic bus for the day, then you should get Arctic bus pay for the day and not only vehicle time. Another thing I want to get rid of is the 60% wage progression for cleaners. Cleaners is the only department or title. Cleaners is the only title that start at a wage progression of 60%. No other title starts at a wage progression as that. Why no administration decided to fix that, why it hasn't been fixed in 2018 is beyond me. But this is one of the first things that I will speak to given the opportunity to negotiate our next contract. Cleaners, in fact, should start at 85% with the maintainer titles. In fact, everybody should start at 85% with the maintainer titles. Now, historically, once again, um, in the 50s, 60s. The only job that MTA workers, oh, I'll take that back. The only job that black MTA workers was allowed to get was porter jobs, cleaner jobs. And to this day, people frown upon those positions because historically, of the people who had it, which was blacks, it wasn't a position to be happy about. When people get demoted, why do they get demoted back to cleaner? It's that position is looked at as a humiliating title, a humiliating position. That's how it's looked at. It's looked at as that. So we have to fix that. We have to bring the cleaners up to par with everyone else. One of my first rallies starting Progressive Action was a cleaners rally. Me being a former cleaner myself for a few years with the Department of Education, I understand the struggles of cleaners. I understand how people look down on you. I understand your struggle. In fact, I was a cleaner for about 10 years with the Department of Education. So I come from that background. When I seen how cleaners was treated in New York City Transit, I took offense to that. And I said that something needed to be done. That's the reason why I did a cleaners rally in 2016, probably the biggest rally to date in front of MTA headquarters regarding the issues. You know, plantation justice, the wages, the discipline, it's on another level in the station's department revolving around the cleaners. That need to be fixed. I take that fight personally. I came from that background, and me being your president, I guarantee you I will create the necessary change in the cleaner title to bring us up to par to where we need to be and not leave us behind like prior administrations has done. We need an increase in uniform allowance. Me personally, I don't put my clothes in the washing machine and the dryer. I take pride in my uniform. I take pride of coming to work and looking sharp. In fact, in every RTO crew room, they have mirrors, and they want you to check yourself to make sure that you are sharp. That comes at a price. Dry cleaning costs me hundreds of dollars a year. Every other city agency gets uniform allowance. New York City Transit workers should get uniform allowance. Or if you're not giving us uniform allowance, then we should be able to order uniforms as we need versus 4 years for regular uniforms and 5 years for jackets. That's absurd. If you cannot give us uniform allowance, then we should be able to order uniforms as we need them. The same thing with the shoes and boots. How can the MTA expect us to wear one pair of shoes for 12 months' time? The company should provide us with these things. We should be eligible for boots at least every 3 to 6 months. You have titles where, like track workers, they boots get beat up within a few weeks. You have train operators and conductors and other people who work in the yard who step on the ballast. Those take a toll on your footwear, and it takes a toll on your feet. And if your foundation ain't right as far as your feet, then the rest of your body is not going to be right. That's why you see a lot of transit workers with back problems, neck pain, shoulder problems, and a whole bunch of issues. And it actually start with our feet. That needs to be fixed. I don't understand how the MTA make us go expect a year for boots to last for a year. Now, another thing that I would definitely do within my first term of president of Local 100, we need to conduct a health study. And that includes a heart and lung bill and quality air monitoring system. Now, under the Toussaint era, they did a health study, and the health study was very interesting. And I believe that if another health study was done, it would help solidify why transit workers deserve hazard pay and retire after 22 years of service in the age. The cleaners during the wintertime, the cleaners need better snow equipment. They need equipment that they could work with. They don't need to be breaking their back. Once again, it's 2018. Why do you have the cleaners working as slaves in 2018? It's a right to have a shovel, but you guys could have snow blowers that could come on the train. The same way how you got the track workers bringing their equipment and cleaning out a car in a on a train, you could have cleaners bringing snow equipment on the train and going from station to station to station to clean it fast, efficiently, and more safely with the equipment. That's something that needs to be changed also. More break time. Let me put my family on the screen. Put my transit family on the screen. More break time for more recovery and break time for operational positions, especially in the RTO department. We get beat up. You know, we are the sacrificial lambs of the MTA. We get beat up on a daily and constant basis. I'm gonna give you an example of how the recovery time is wrong and the break time is wrong. I work the D train. The D line, the run is about an hour and 30 minutes if everything is running straight. It runs from Coney Island Stillwell to Bedford Park. Once you get not Bedford Park, the 205th Street. You get the 205th Street. By the time you get to 205th Street, do the relay, get back to Bedford Park, and then get off the train, it's over 20 minutes. That's not effective time for train crews. So, theoretically, when you look at it, D train crews is actually doing 2 hours a trip or close to it, because it's never on time at that. Doing 2 hours a trip, a half, because you got to do that 20, 30-minute relay in the back, which makes no sense. We need more time off the trains. If we completed our trip, a relay should not be a part of the train crew job. They should hire more people to specifically do relays to get crews off of trains faster. This is something that needs to change ASAP, and I believe my vice presidential candidate for RTO, Eric Logel, will put his foot into that and make sure that that happens. Now, a department that gets overlooked, and this is my boy right here, my brother, Mr. Parker. See him right here. He works in supply and logistics. This is a forgot about department. This department, very surprising. They're not allowed to take promotional exams. There's absolutely no career advancement. They don't get the bank 14 AVA days like the rest of stations. The trailer drivers, they don't get the extra dollar at least like the Arctic bus drivers. This department needs some serious help and some serious fighter. And they don't even get the differential pay for training new employees. What's going on in supply and logistics? Supply and logistics need some real leadership. They need some real change. My administration plan on addressing that. No department will be left behind. I could promise you that. Me as being a regular conductor, I do more fighting for other departments than I actually probably do my department because I have people around me to help me in my department. But as far as addressing the issues, speaking to bosses and trying to see what's going on, we have reach and influence in almost every department. Supply and logistics is a department that we're going to address when we first get in. We're going to straighten some things out. The MTA have the ability to make deals outside of contractual time. They have deals, they have the power to do stipulations outside of contractual time. This is something that needs to be done ASAP once my administration take over. We need to fix what's going on in supply and logistics. And we must stop. Once again, we see the same thing in MTA bus. We see the same thing in other departments. We must stop this second-class citizenship in Local 100. You cannot continuously say stand as one when you have 8 different people standing for, and it's not even representative of the struggles of the various departments. Another thing, MTA bus. Now, MTA bus is a very interesting department, especially when they merge with the MTA. But I don't get it. If we all under one umbrella, I don't care if you drive a bus in Brooklyn. I don't care if you drive a bus in Manhattan. I don't care if you drive a bus in the Bronx. I don't care if you drive a bus in Queens, Westchester, whatever. If you drive a bus for the same company, we all deserve the same premium benefits as everyone else. There's no full sick pay at MTA bus. There's no OTO. There's no birthday holiday pay. They need vacation that's equal to TA and OA. They need swing pay that starts before 2.5 hours. How can they work for the same company and get treated like second-class citizens? This is not reflective of a union. Once again, you can't say feed these people over here Angus steak and then feed these people over here chitlins and say, hey, look, at least you eating. Maybe next time you will get a chicken bone. You may not be eating steak, but you gonna be getting a chicken bone. That's not what real leadership, that's not what a real union is supposed to do. There's not even a fight. You know what? The fight is more with the MTA trying to regionalize everything versus with the union trying to make us all one and get us all the most powerful premium benefits that each department have. We should be taken from some departments who have 20 AVA days. Everybody should have 20 AVA days. Everybody should have 20 AVA days. We need to compare and contrast our departments and get the best, and then compare and contrast what other city agencies is getting and put together the best. No more of thinking that, we can't get it, or the union to use an excuse. Well, other state workers, they got this and the other state workers did that. When I read the what you call that again, the arbitration decision from 2009, I seen COBA, PBA, DC 37, and the firefighters union. I did not see anything else. And besides, whatever happens in New York State happens in New York State. New York State cost of living, if they got gentrification or whatever, is way different here in New York City. So it's only fair and it's only right that we get compared to other powerful agencies such as us in New York City. No exceptions. Now, we go cut back into this again. We go cut back into this hazard pay thing again. Now, we need to go into the contract negotiations and demand a 10% hazard pay increase for all titles that work in hazardous conditions. And we need to base this on the 2005 health study that was done under the Tucson administration. It has some great information in there. And we must base it on the countless OSHA violations. Now, hazard pay, I'm going to read this to you guys. Hazard pay is good when the hazards can't be fixed, such as walking over third rails, the air we breathing in, structure walks with holes, and powerful chemicals and things of that nature. We can get hazard pay, but we will not get hazard pay under weak leadership, such as what is in office now. We will not get it. We cannot even get the MTA to abide by arbitration decisions in which we have won as transit workers. The union can't even get the transit authority to abide things that we won already. You think that they will be able to go into Albany or go to the MTA and demand something that was never done before? It takes new, strong leadership to do that. All these guys has failed us. Only thing they give us is excuses. They lie. They deceive the membership. They not loyal to us. They loyal to the MTA and the governor. We must change that. And I promise you, if we get elected in, if my progressive action administration get elected in, we are going to provide that change that we need. I could promise you that. Now, another thing, you see this consolidate. How about this? Now, I don't want to get too much into the code consolidation thing, but basically, the MTA, Map Store and TA Surface merged, right? So during that merger, Map Store lost some things. They lost 6 months probation. They had 4 years. They could go out for 4 years off of assault. It got knocked down to 2. They gained more sick days. They lost when they got with the TA. They gained sick control. They didn't have sick control or none of that before. But it was like a give and take thing. And I can understand the people in Map Store frustrations during a merger or whatever the case is. But I could promise you this. If this present administration is successful in unmerging, deconsolidating Mapstone and TA, it will not be in the members' favor. You will not get that 6 months probation back again. You will not get your sick control will still be there. It's not going to be what you think it is. It's going to be the same thing that happened when the union went behind the maintainers and buses backs after the 2017 contract negotiations. It's going to be that. You're just going to go back to your depots and you're still going to be governed by the same rules and regulations. People pick their job locations based on where they live. So you have some TA surface people who picks up in the Bronx because they live in Westchester or upstate. You have some Map Store people who pick in Southern Brooklyn or in Brooklyn because they live in Staten Island or Jersey. If this current administration get voted in, they are going to unconsolidate buses without a doubt. In fact, when I was getting signatures, a few reps actually expressed that they are for people for the administration doing away with consolidation. Consolidation will hurt the members of Local 100. Now, this current administration will not. They stupid, but they not foolish. They will not do that before this election because they know the ramifications it would be. People will not vote for them. They will do this if they win, and it'll probably happen either right before the contract expires or right after the contract expires in May 2019. I guarantee you that this will happen. I'm hoping that my talk discouraged them from doing it, but they moving full steam ahead. And for those who don't know, the union attempted to deconsolidate buses behind the members back in 2013. In 2013, this leadership, Samuelson, J.P. Patafio, mostly those two was named, was trying to undo consolidation. Now, from what I understand, in Map Store, Richie Davis is attempting to undo consolidation up there. So they trying to do it behind the members' back. If they were serious about this and they was honest about it, they would talk about it openly with the membership, but they're lying. They, like I said, if you go on justia.com, search Samuelson consolidation, you will see the court case. And actually, they lost the case. The judge said, no, it's not right. You guys can't do it, X, Y, and Z. So if they had more of a conservative judge, that judge would have probably let it go through, and it would have discombobulated the bus operators in both Mapstone and TA Surface. I think that's pretty big. You know, and if you feel that consolidation is a good thing, then just go speak to the bus maintainers who have to now travel because they was thrown back to their respective depots after the union undid it. And then the dishonesty of the union doing this. Why would they do it after the contract? If they was open and honest about it, why wouldn't they make that a part of the contractual negotiations so the members could at least vote on it? Why was this done after the contract in 2017? You know, this is the leadership that we dealing with. They doing what they want to do, how they want to do it, and that's not democracy, and that's not how it should be done. Let me see. Now we go get into something called. See if you guys know what this is right here. This right here is called the BQX. It's a streetcar that's supposed to be built along the waterfront from Queens to Brooklyn with a purpose to improve mass transit and connectivity from Sunset Park to Astoria. I actually got that from the BQX Twitter page. Now, this streetcar is designed to run along the waterfront from Queens to Brooklyn, which will be a gentrification magnet and drive the once affordable rents, especially in Red Hook, through the roof. Now, this is what's crazy. Let me put this picture up. This is right here in that picture. Let me grab this. You have Nick Bedell. You have a TA Surface rep with a TWU shirt on, and you have the vice president of MAP Store, Richie Davis, next to him. Now, remember, the purpose of the BQX, according to the people who's implementing the BQX, is to improve mass transit and connectivity from Sunset Park to Astoria. Now, this is my stance on this. If I was president, I would not be supporting the BQX. For one, for the whole gentrification purposes. Gentrification has been one of the major reasons why transit workers cannot afford to live in the city in which they serve. This streetcar will bring more gentrification. It's an attraction. It's not about what they said, improve mass transit. If the union wanted to improve mass transit and let it be beneficial to the members, why don't they ask for extra bus routes? Why don't they ask for new bus routes, more buses, more runs? That's how you get work for your members. You don't say bring in a streetcar, and the union will probably make an excuse. Well, we could organize those members. Well, how about this? You already got members organized in TWU Local 100. Advocate for them for more work. Advocate for more workers. Advocate for more runs. Advocate for new runs. That's how you improve mass transit and connectivity in the city of New York. Advocate for your workers first. Advocate for your workers only. This is Local 100. You do not represent no streetcar people. You shouldn't even want to do that. Advocate for what's here now. New bus routes, more routes, new lines. Bottom line, I am not for this BQX. It would definitely be a job killer, because then if it improves connectivity and the mass transit over there, then what happens? Bus operators end up losing work. The union administration is totally working against the interest of the people that they're supposed to protect, and it's pretty crazy, man. So now we have this thing. It's not a fancy word, but it's an important word. You have this thing called morale. Now, in my opinion, the union is responsible for building our morale more than the MTA. Even though the MTA, they should have some influence in it, but the union is responsible for that. And morale starts with the president, how the president carries himself, how he fights. You give confidence to the people who's watching you. That's why progressive action has become the force it has become, and have the respect that we respect, because they see their leader, the person that's in the forefront, fighting for them. It helps build morale. We have built more morale in Local 100 than the current administration these past 8-9 years. We had actually rebuilt the faith structure here, because people want fighters. People want people who's going to stand up for them. You know, that's part of building morale in New York City Transit. Now, I have a few ideas as far as building morale. First and foremost, we need more educated members into the field. Something that my administration would do is start a new, invigorating shop steward class. We will have shop stewards in the field 365 days a week, 24/7. Why? Because this operation runs 365 days a year, 24/7. There should not be a shortage of union reps in the field when you have a plethora of shop stewards who are ready, willing, and able. Now, during this past administration, I took the shop steward class. I don't think that it was as impactful as it should have been or as it could have been. I would definitely bring in the most sharpest, educated union people to teach this membership what true unionism is about, what the contract is about, the bylaws, the Constitution. This is where the future leaders start. And we must start the future leaders in a new, invigorating shop steward class. Another thing to help build morale. You cannot build morale when you're being dishonest with your members. You cannot, it's just not gonna work that way. You cannot build morale when you're doing that. No more backroom deals, especially like the backroom deal that went on with the deconsolidation of the maintenance titles. You know, any kind of deal that goes on must be put before a vote of the members. I don't care if you do it through the TWU. I don't care if you do a Facebook poll, but there needs to be some type of democracy of what's going on before you make a deal that can affect any part of the membership. You go behind people back, you mess them up. How you think they're going to feel? You think they're going to have trust in you? They not. We must bring back the democratic role of this union. No backroom deals. My administration would not do any backroom deals before presenting it to the membership. It will not go down. We need increase and a significant increase in the child care. This job makes you spend a whole bunch of time away from home. So if this job make us spend a whole bunch of time away from home, this job should also be making sure at home is being taken care of. We should have child care, an increase in the child care. We shouldn't even actually be paying child care as demanding as this job can be, and keep you away from home and, you know, getting home late because of the service and things like that. Increasing the child care is something that I definitely will be looking into, because we need it. We need better wages. We need extra increase in the child care. We got to make sure home is being taken care of. Another thing I would like to do as president and increasing the morale here, because you got to make members feel like you got their back, that you there for them, and that's what unions is for. We can't keep saying that we brothers and sisters with each other, and you treating your brothers and sisters like you arch enemies. That's not how it's supposed to work. People throw away all these terminologies and say, hey, brother, sister, but we not treated like brother and sister here. So I would like to start a first-time home buyer program and to provide lawyers for the closing. Part of us not being able to survive in the city in which we work is because the union don't make it easier too. The union know for a fact that we are not keeping up with the cost of living, but they tell us otherwise. The union know for a fact that we are underpaid, but they tell us otherwise. Why? Because it's a reflection of them. It's a reflection of the work that they have put in. You know, it's not good to say, yeah, you guys deserve more, and they're in leadership positions, because then it's a reflection of them. So they're going to tell you the opposite. They know what's going on. You know, and not for nothing, do you guys know or have any idea how much Local 100 spends in personal lawsuits of people suing the union? Do you guys have any idea? That money could be used for closing of houses and other functions that can help members. We should not be paying, the members should not be paying for lawsuits because reps want to act a fool. That's not how it should work. We need every dollar to go to help a member, not keep the union out of frivolous lawsuits if they was to behave properly. This money could definitely be used and better use with the members. Another thing my administration will be pushing for is legal services, legal representation. Now, this legal representation will consist of the preparation of wills, debt matters, including bankruptcy, disputes with sellers and goods and services if the amount of the dispute is over $500, correction of inaccurate credit reports, very important. Your credit is one of the most important things in adulthood. Billing disputes with utilities, landlord actions that could result in your eviction, divorce, separation, and annulment, and a host of other things. Currently, we have none of these things. This is why if you listen to what I said earlier, the Janus bill does not affect us. It does not. Cuomo signing that Janus bill and talk about lawyers, it doesn't affect us because we don't have it. My administration will work hard and diligently to provide these legal services for the members. Another thing that we will push for is a better media presence. As you can see, MTA workers' stories are never told to the general public. The general public don't know anything about MTA workers except, and this is untrue, except when raises go up. Whenever we get a raise, the fares go up. That's because we have no media presence. You have never heard a union president say otherwise. You have never heard a union president say that the raises have our raises have nothing to do with the fares. The MTA go raise the fares because they want to, and by the public and by us not having no media presence, the public have no empathy towards us. They don't know anything about us. They know nothing about MTA worker struggles. How you going to have empathy towards anyone that you know nothing about? It just doesn't work that way. The public view us as the enemy when actually we should be the ally. In fact, we should educate the public on who the real enemy is. The real enemy isn't the people who the public see every single day. It's not us, which is the frontline workers. The enemies don't wear uniforms. The enemies hide out at 2 Broadway. The enemies don't identify themselves when they ride in the train or the subway. The enemies don't do any of that. So we must have more of a media presence to explain our struggles, to educate the riders of New York City so we could become more allies instead of enemies. I'm quite sure if we do this, we'll get better respect. Assaults will probably decrease, and it will be a much more happy work environment for workers. It's pretty hard working in New York City, moving 6 million people a day and keeping everyone happy. And it's even much more harder when those people that you're trying to keep happy don't know nothing about you at all. They don't know that we not the cause of delays. They don't know that, we have nothing to do with the signals or the broken rails. That's all upper brass stuff. We don't say where they order the rails from. We don't say where they order the parts for these signals from. We have no say. We don't make these schedules up. We don't do any of that. We need to educate the public on our struggles. Now, so I'm gonna say this in closing. The qualities of a leader: honesty, integrity, ability to inspire others, commitment, passionate, good communicator, decision-making capabilities, accountability, delegation, empowerment, creativity, and innovation. I believe that Progressive Action has done all of that, did all the above. I believe that we have shown the way, and not to mention, none of my running mates are released. We are all doing this work from our tools. None of us was thrown a bone. We did all this work from our tools. We spent our own money. We lost countless hours of sleep, precious time with family to create change. Me speaking for myself, I never inspired or aspired to be president of a union, but the members suggested that I should do it. They seen the fight. They seen the dedication. They seen the innovation. They seen the honesty. They seen the integrity. They seen something that I overlooked because I always been that my whole life. I always was surrounded around loyal people my whole life. I still got friends from 20, 30 years ago. I'm good at connecting people. I'm good at creating change. Just in 2008, I won NYPD lawsuit for a stop and frisk. Nobody was winning that. I fought for that. I won. The recent changes throughout the years of how stop and frisk is being conducted now was because of my lawsuit. You could actually search that, Tremel Thompson, NYPD. It's out there. It's in the world. I'm not making this up. Coming to New York City Transit, seeing how transit workers is being treated. Denying lunch breaks, pregnant women working on trains up until their 9th month till they give birth. Punitive over corrective discipline. I was taken aback, and it felt like I was lied to. I thought coming to this job, the wages was great, the benefits was great. We had the strongest union. 6 months into this job, I realized that that was all a lie. Now, I could have stayed quiet, mind my business, operate my train doors, and defended myself. But I look at you guys as family. I look at you guys, spend more time with you guys than I do actually my own family. We need change. The people who I have running with me in my top 4, Jocelyn McCray, bus operator. Roberto Martinez, bus operator. Both of them from TA Surface. Johnny Knows from the private lines. They are dedicated just like I am. They are serious about the issues. It has been a blessing to connect with everyone who's running under my slate because things are starting to make sense. The people of Local 100 desperately deserve change. We need change. And it only has been one group who has been providing that change and asking for nothing in return. And that have been Progressive Action. I want you guys to listen to this video. I want you guys to share this video. I want you guys to tell your coworkers about this video. I want you guys to make an educated decision starting November 14th. We must move in a new direction. We must be stronger. We must be wiser. We must be more innovative. The old tactics just not cutting it anymore. We must get with the program or we're going to fail. I advise you guys, vote Progressive Action slate 2018 in this election. It's only one way to go. Trust me when I tell you. It's only one way to go. And we have done a lot of the work already. Verifiable. Google us in the newspapers. Ask about us on the workforce. We have done the work. You know, for the past since 2015 when I got fully involved with this union stuff. I was in college full time. Graduated this past May. Went 4 years straight full time. Worked 4 years straight full time. Did Progressive Action full time. I'm a new father full time. So we've been doing the work. We are dedicated. All my candidates are dedicated. That's one of the requirements in running with me. And we're going to create change. And we need change. And if we want change, once again, vote Progressive Action slate in this 2018 election. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.